Rates for Illinois natural gas providers are going up, but not as much as they would like. Yesterday, the Illinois Commerce Commission voted to raise rates for the state's four major gas utilities, including Ameren. However, the increases weren't as large as the utilities were asking. Ameren Illinois had its proposed rate increase slashed by almost 50%. Advocates say the commission's decision is a step in the right direction for consumers across the state, not only for today, but for the future.
In the future, we can expect less severe rate hikes because of the decision that the regulators made yesterday. They put into place structures that is going to contain wasteful spending by the gas utilities, and that will mean less severe rate hikes in the future.
He says yesterday's decision diverges from what has happened in the past, when the board would typically accept utilities' requested rate hikes. He credits the new commissioners for taking a different approach. Ameren Illinois released a statement following yesterday's decision saying, quote, "Our first and most important obligation is to ensure that this complex system continues to perform safely and reliably."